All right, I think we're live.
Hello.
Hello, HB Fanfic Talk.
We're
Sorry,
back. We're just not in the same location this time, which is sad. Rose is here too. She's having some network issues, but she's going to participate via the chat box, which we encourage all of you to do the same.
okay, here we go. Yes. All right, it's working on my phone, so.
So you can see the chat box.
At least I can. Okay, ready? Hello.
I'm going to type hello too.
All right.
Hi.
There we go.
I see my hi, but I don't see you. Did you type in the chat?
Yes. Oh, look, Rose said hi.
Maybe I'm not in the right chat then.
Oh, no, that's the chat between just us.
How did
That's
you
not
find it? How did you find the other one?
that's not the, it's on like a separate page from the actual.
Oh crap. Well, as long as you can see it. Struggling.
Yeah, I just pulled it up separately on my phone.
Okay, I'm going to check YouTube and I'm going to get there. Sorry, everyone, for all our continuous technical difficulties. I feel like every time we run into something that tricks us.
I think everybody will get better at this the more we do it. All the more reason to do it.
Very true.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm also pulling up Twitter so that if anybody, just as an FYI, if anybody wants to ask questions on Twitter as opposed to Google or the live chat or whatever, you're free to do that. And I will be able to, since I'm answering questions, I'll be able to see them there too. Just tag me or HBFT, whatever. I'll get them either way.
Okay, so in case you didn't know, we are reading work that Lizzie wrote called In Every Stitch, and I'll read the summary just like we did last time. And then I'm going to read the whole thing because it's under 1,000 words. So here's the summary. Weasley jumpers are for more than just a jumper. They're full of little bits of love that you weave into every stitch. They're a shield protecting the most precious pieces of your heart. That is the summary, and I am very excited to read this. I think this was nominated for a Golden Paw, Lizzie?
It won a Golden Paw and
that's what I thought.
Nominated for a Dobby.
Okay, because I think Caitlin nominated it, and her nomination was so beautiful, like I cried. So I was like, I have to read this story. It must be good. So I was excited to read it and to read it again.
As an FYI, I bawl every single time I read this story. So if I'm tearing, I know it's my own story, and I feel like that's a little narcissistic to say.
No, not at all.
It's like I lose it every single time. It's just sad.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to hold it together because I may have cried a little bit too when I read it the first time. But here we go. Bear with me. Let me turn my phone this way. Okay. A Weasley jump might be a lot of things, but it is certainly not void of love. Your children may moan and complain about the colors you picked for them, or the size being too large or too small, or the type of yarn, or how hot and itchy and uncomfortable it is, but it doesn't matter to you. Those jumpers are far more than just a jumper. They're full of little bits of love that you weave into every stitch. They're how you wrap your children up in a hug from a distance. They're the way you keep your children safe from the terrifying world because you've seen too much of it and can't stand it getting to them. They're a shield protecting the most precious pieces of your heart. As you stare at the knitting needles and yarn in front of you, brow furrowed in concentration, you try to think of how to start. The emerald yarn had been an obvious choice as it matched his eyes perfectly, although you doubted that he'd care that much. After all, he was an 11-year-old boy. When Ron had written to you and mentioned that Harry wasn't expecting any Christmas presents, you were outraged. You strongly believe that no child should go without presents on Christmas, and even though you barely knew the boy, you had to make sure he had something to unwrap on Christmas morning. The mothering side of you wouldn't allow you to slack on this one. After all, you'd thought, if you were dead, how would you feel if your only son was being deprived of something so special? Tears instantly welled up in your eyes at the thought. You had been blessed with 6 sons, and you couldn't stand the thought of even one being left out of the celebrations. If the roles were reversed and you couldn't be there for your children, what would you want more than anything? For someone to be there and to love them just as much as you did. You reach out and pick up one of the needles and begin to carefully loop the soft yarn around the hard, cold metal. It doesn't take long before your fingers settle into the comfortable rhythm that you are so familiar with. You hum quietly, enjoying the soft sounds of the crackling fire, the rhythmic creaking of the rocking chair you recline in, the whistling of the cold November wind, and the occasional click of your bright red knitting needles. The cat curls up at your feet, and you wiggle your frozen toes underneath her belly, grateful for the extra warmth. Time ceases to exist as you work. With every stitch, you think of all the reasons you're thankful for Harry. For befriending my son, for being a force of good in this world, for ending the war, even if you didn't know it. But there are only so many reasons why you're thankful for him, especially since you had only met him once and only learned little bits and pieces of his story from Ron. Then you remember what impressed you to make the jumper in the first place. Because you deserve a happy Christmas. Because your mother wants you to know how much she loved you. Because your father wants you to know how much more you deserved. You're unaware of the tears that have started to fall on their own accord. More and more reasons why you're doing this just keep washing over you. Because I can, because I want to, because you need someone to be there and to let you know they love you just as much as your parents did. The familiar feeling of your heart being too big for your body overwhelms you, just as it does every time you think of your children. I can't, Lizzie. Because I have room in my heart for one more child. When you finish the final stitch, you tie up the loose ends of the yarn and hold up the completed project. You look it over, and once it's deemed satisfactory, you fold it carefully and place it on a side table next to the other jumpers, all lined up in a row. You smile as you examine the line, heart swelling with pride. 8 jumpers, 8 children, 8 shields for 8 pieces of your heart. We're both crying. Oh, it's beautiful. Don't apologize. It's beautiful. It deserves tears.
Yep. I don't know why I tear up every single time, but
it means something to you, you know? I don't think it's narcissistic at all. I think you should if it means something to you.
No, it means a lot to me.
That's good.
I honestly don't know where it came from. Like, I don't, well, there's elements of where it came from, but it's been over a year since I've written this, and it still kind of shocks me
that it came out of your brain.
Yeah, I'm like not sure. I'm not a parent, so I feel like this is coming from a place that, you know, given the nature of my job, that I work with kids and everything, that I feel very strongly about kids deserving love and deserving, you know, Harry just didn't deserve the way he was treated. And, you know, I've learned very early, I, you know, learned probably 2 years ago when I started working as a nanny that I have the capability of loving children. I want to say just as much as my own, but I don't actually have any biological children, but I feel very strongly that I'm capable of it. And so when I was writing this, it was very much, I was channeling that feeling of loving kids and wanting all kids to, you know, deserve the love that they should have. And that Molly, as one of the people that I, you know, as a fictional character that I admire so much, that she was very capable of loving Harry, even though he wasn't her son. If that makes sense.
That's awesome.
Rose asked why I like hurting her.
That's funny.
It's not intentional, Rose. It just happened. That's all I can say. Anyway.
I just wanted to jump in and say that I love, where is it? Oh, near the end where you wrote, the familiar feeling of your heart being too big for your body overwhelms you. And I read that and I just thought, this is the perfect description of Molly Weasley. Like, this is perfect. Yeah. That's totally her, like her heart being too big for her body. And sometimes that shows up in her getting really angry at her children, but it's all because she loves them, you know? So
well, she's described as such a small woman physically. True. But there's so much about her personality that just is so much bigger than who she is. And I feel like her heart is a good representation of that too.
I loved that line.
Yeah. I can't remember. I think I've heard, that's one that I heard a lot when I was a little kid, from other people. when I asked my parents why, what it felt like to be a mom, I got, it feels like your heart's too big for your body.
Did you get the tweet? I don't know if this will show, but it's probably backwards. Katie says, I can't chat in the box, but I'm definitely crying with you.
Oh. Make me feel awesome. Well, I shouldn't be laughing at making people cry, but this is like happy crying, right?
It's almost like, I made you all cry. No,
it's like happy crying, right?
It is.
It's all a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
Feeling. Sorry.
Okay, so I was reading in your author's note. That's where I saw that this had been. It won. Okay, I'm reading this. It won first place in the Unsung Hero Challenge. I want to hear about that challenge a little bit more. Was nominated and runner-up for the 2015 Dobbies in 2 categories, Best One-Shot and Best Wielding of a Major Canon Character, and won Best Gryffindor in the 2016 Golden Paw Awards.
So when I wrote this, I thought it was like, I wrote it and I cried, and like emotionally it was very powerful for me, but I didn't think it would do very well at all. And oh my gosh, when it won first place in the Unsung Hero Challenge, it was like, okay, wow, this is like, especially because I was so early in writing, in all the stuff that I had written thus far. I'd only really actively started writing a couple months earlier. So to have it really quickly turn around and have such a huge response to that story was just giant for me. It made me feel like writing was what I was supposed to be doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's one of the stories I'm proudest of. That's for sure.
Oh, good. I can relate to that feeling though. That feeling of like, I feel like this is good. Like I had a reaction to this, but I don't know how other people are going to respond to it.
Yeah, I was
can relate to that feeling.
I was like, it's so short, because I'm not known for being. I don't write short things.
Maybe you should more often then. not that your other pieces aren't good, but
well, I've got a couple other short. Like I've got a 500 word one, but it's not anywhere near as emotionally powerful as this one. That's for sure. It's mostly just cute fluff that was a weird ramble that I wrote in the weekend. But like. Funnily enough, actually, I wrote this on my phone in the middle of the House Cup. So we were in the middle of an event. I think we were in the middle of the Percy game, which is like the bingo one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to have service to, like I was doing a hotspot on my phone to my laptop so that I could like try to do the whole Percy game. And we're driving, I'm in the front seat, and I'm writing this at the same time. So the fact that I did that, I wrote the entire thing on my phone, kind of shocks me too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
A little background.
The original plan was actually to do her knitting each of his sweaters all 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And her to not be knitting one the 7th year, or her knitting one the 7th year, even though she didn't know where he was.
Mm-hmm.
But I finished with the first one, and I was like,
what else?
I don't need it. It's
beautiful as it is. That's cool too, though. So this Unsung Hero Challenge, what were the like rules for that challenge? I assume it's pretty self-explanatory, but
yeah, it was to write. If I can remember correctly, it was to write.
Oh yeah, it's been a year.
It was to write a story about a character that was sort of a hero, but didn't really get the attention that they necessarily deserved, or the attention that they, in the books didn't really get. Mm-hmm. So Molly, she sort of gets her big hero moment when she kills Bellatrix, but other than that, she doesn't really get a whole lot of attention. So I can't remember if I picked Molly or if I was given Molly. But I remember at first I was really happy that I had Molly, but I didn't quite know what to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I finally came up with this idea, it was just something I ran with. And I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's cool because I was thinking the same. Like when I think of Molly Weasley being a hero, I think of the seventh book. And that's where my mind probably would have gone first if I was writing for this challenge.
Yeah.
And so that you landed on this moment, which is such a better moment, I think, to show. It's so powerful.
I never think of her killing Bellatrix like that. I forget that she actually did that. Like it's sort of
one moment, right?
that one moment
compared to such an amazing life.
And it's at the end of the seventh book, whereas everything you see before then is you know, every time I read this, every time I read any scenes with her growing up, it was, for me, it was, I want to be a mom like Molly. Like, I don't know, like that was sort of my idea of like this sort of, protectiveness and clear love and caring for her children, but very fierce, personality and fierce reactions to things, I think it's funny when she gets angry.
I do too. I think she's pretty awesome.
And Julie Walters, I think Julie Walters did a great job as Molly in the movie.
Oh, yeah. She's one, I tell my husband all the time, she's one of the characters, the few characters where when I saw the movie the first time, I was like, yes, that is exactly who I pictured in my head. She is perfect.
I didn't even know what I was picturing when I first saw the movies, but when I saw her, I knew that was it. Julie Walters totally nailed Molly.
She's perfect.
Anyway.
Okay, I haven't checked the chat in a while. Oh, Rose asks, what was it like being nominated for several awards for this?
Well, each time it happened, it was like, I was the kind of person who did a happy dance. Like, I do happy dances. But, like, I mean, totally saw it happen and, like, just jumping up and down, screeching, happy dancing, craziness, because I'm an overgrown child. But I mean, like, it's really just, I was over the moon because I just wasn't expecting to get any attention like that. That just wasn't, I don't know. I always sort of, like, I looked at other stories on the archives and everything, and I was like, oh, my writing's nothing, not anywhere near as good as theirs. And it was stuff like that that actually made me start believe in my own writing, starting to believe in my own writing, and that I'm a capable writer. Maybe
and
I'm
you
not
are.
the writer in the world, but like, if I can produce a story like that, then eventually I can get better. Like, that was sort of where I was at.
That's awesome. I think that's why I love having site-wide and house-wide awards like that.
Yeah.
Because it is a huge, like, pat on the back, because being a writer, it's hard. You get a lot of criticism and people who are like, oh, you're a writer? Really? Yeah. Especially with fan fiction. So
yeah, especially with fan fiction, because you're like, you write fan fiction? What are you going to write real things? And it's like, that's real writing.
The next time someone says it, I'm going to read them your story and be like, is this real? Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, no, that's, oh gosh. The fan fiction drives me crazy. That's not real writing. Yes, it is.
Definitely.
Unless writing My Immortal or whatever that ridiculous.
Oh, that one. Okay, we have another question from Rose. Thanks, Rose, for participating so much. I know. I'm sorry that your internet's was kind of crappy because I was looking forward to chatting with you here. But she says, do you think you'll write more Molly-centric fics in the future?
Since all of my stories are set in the same universe, I'm sure I will definitely have her featured in some of my longer novels. And I've written a couple of scenes with her. I don't know if I will or not, but it's one of those things that if it hits me and I get an idea, then I will. Like, I will always write Molly. If I get an idea and it speaks to me, I will write Molly. I don't have a problem with that. I won't protest it. Give me some other, there are some characters that I might hesitate, but her, no. So if I get another idea, I don't know. I don't have one yet. I haven't really thought about it.
Cool.
I'm pretty satisfied with this, though.
You're pretty what?
I'm pretty satisfied with this in terms of writing Molly.
Yeah, it's hard to follow up on a piece like this, isn't it? Kind of overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
I had a question, and now I can't remember it. Oh, what made you choose second person?
Okay, I love writing in second person. I'm one of those. I have 4 stories that are from second person point of view. I think it's 4.
Hmm.
I love writing in second person. I feel like emotionally it is so much more powerful than first or third person. And that was just, second person is, I don't know. I just love it. I think it's really great. I feel like I'm telling the reader how to feel and what to think. So I don't know. There's something about that just really, it's very easy for me to do. And I find myself switching into second person point of view when I'm writing first person or third person sometimes. Well, not so much for first person, but for third person. But when I'm writing in first person, sometimes I turn into second person. It's really awkward. In the middle of a scene, I'm like, ah, crap! I gotta change all the U's into I's and other things. Like, yeah. So I love second person point of view. I love reading stories from that point of view. I love writing stories from that point of view. I actually, for a writing class that I was in, I modified one of my fan fiction stories because I was supposed to write something and bring it in for critique, and I modified one of my fan fiction stories and brought it in just because I was totally bombing out with any sort of original fiction ideas because I'm super lame like that. And so I just modified it, and it was second person point of view, and they totally tore my story apart. And it was,
I remember you posting about that.
Yeah,
and being so mad at them.
Yeah, crap on us
called for
was the way he described it. It was really great. But the second person point of view definitely was the thing that earned me points, because the teacher said that he had never seen anybody write in second person point of view that wasn't asked to.
Oh, wow.
And that I had just I had also written for the second person point of view challenge. I had a story that I had just written from that before that. And so that one had a pretty good, pretty solid emotional impact on me as well. So I felt like this was going to do the same thing.
Very cool. I love second person point of view too. So I had to ask. Oh, she's sniffing my microphone.
Oh.
Hi.
So Rose has got 2 more questions. She said, I liked the 7 sweater idea. Well, it's not a question. I like the 7 sweater idea. Hint. You know what? If I run with that, I don't know if I'd add it to that same story. I might make it like a short story collection. So I'd do 1 chapter for each story. Just because I don't like the idea of like tacking something onto the end of that. I like how that ends.
That would be cool. And you can, because there's a part in here where she's like, I don't know much about him yet. I haven't, well, it's in second person, so you don't know much about him yet, but that'd be cool to follow their story.
I thought it was kind of funny, like in the second one, she's still kind of pissed at them for taking the car and like all the...
Oh, that would be a funny one.
So like she's knitting the sweater, but she's totally upset at him because he's an idiot 12-year-old boy, and she and him and her son like stole this car and got into trouble. And then the third one, she's worried about Sirius, and the fourth one, she's worried about the tournament, and like sort of it's a constant, every single time she's knitting these, there's something going on, and I just sort of think it's cool to see, basically get a moment where you're seeing Molly's point of view of the books, So I might run with that. I might do it one day.
That would be cool, especially because the first one's so emotional, like emotionally.
Yeah, I think the second one would be more.
The second one, yeah, would be funny.
The last one would probably, I'd have to make that one pretty emotional too, the last one.
Truth.
Because she wouldn't be able to send him the sweater, and that would suck.
Yeah, that would be really hard for her, I'm sure.
And she's in hiding, and yeah.
It
was also asked, who wouldn't I want to write? Okay. Fans of the Marauders era, please don't hate me, but I can't stand that era. I don't know why. Mostly because it's impossible to have a happy ending. Stories. Like, you can have a happy ending, but we all know what happens to those characters, and it sucks. So getting me to write the Marauders is just not going to happen. Sorry.
Bummer.
Yeah, it's just not my... And most bad guys. Because I'm not really capable of writing a bad guy. Or at least I don't really want to try it.
Okay, well, I'm going to set up a challenge now. To write the evil characters, and you're going to sign up.
Well, I mean, like, I guess it depends on the evil character. I tried to write Draco for something, and it totally backfired on me, and it came out horrendous. It was really bad. So, I tried to write it for the Knockout Challenge,
Mm.
And I came up with something, but it was really bad. And then I like lost my notebook. I lose my notebooks frequently, FYI. I think I lost my notebook and like it totally. But I was writing it to the song "Bad" by Michael Jackson, which was kind of a cool idea to have like Draco like trying to decide to be bad and everything. But
Yeah.
it totally backfired. I wrote that one in second person as well, shockingly. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm not good with bad guys. I'm good at fluff and cliches, and I've accepted that and embraced it. And as long as people don't expect me to do more than that, we're good.
Oh, come on.
Well, the family business, that's like my novel that like is my attempt.
Attempt. I think it's great. I think it's more than an attempt.
But anyway, so yeah, we're supposed to be talking about In Every Stitch.
Well, you brought it up. I don't blame Rose for asking who you wouldn't write because you're the one who brought it up.
This is true. Anyway, so yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, let's get those tweets coming in. Oh, I
can totally ramble on and on about this, about any of my writing, so you can stop me before I go on.
No, we won't stop you.
I haven't written in like a month and a half, though. It's pretty sad.
Busy.
I'm too busy on these archives, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. My feet are awkward right now. I apologize.
Let's see.
Anybody else? Call for questions?
I think you answered all my questions. I just love it. I can talk about how much I love it. I think okay, here I'm going to go on my rant again, but I believe strongly that courage, like the Gryffindor courage, doesn't have to be like that moment in the 7th book where she stands up for her family and kills Bellatrix Lestrange. Like it can be quiet moments of bravery.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this story so much. That's one of the reasons why I love this story so much, because I feel like it's one of those quiet moments of bravery, like putting yourself out there to open your heart up to someone else's child. And being a mother when you're stretched thin already with 7 kids, right? Yeah. Like she is, and she doesn't really have the means to support even those 7 kids, at least physically or monetarily. Yeah. But this to me is like such a moment of bravery, a very quiet, subtle bravery, which I think is so cool. I love that. I think more Gryffindors should be explored for these qualities, because we so, and I do this too, where I fall into the very cliche, like, oh, this character's a Gryffindor, they're gonna like run around and go on adventures and be crazy. And it's funny because I consider myself very much a Gryffindor, and I'm not like that. So,
I'm not necessarily like that either. I mean, I'll pick a fight if unnecessary, but I'll tend to avoid those things. So it's more about picking people and loving people and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's one of the things that I love the most about Molly. I don't want to say that I didn't like that she killed Bellatrix, because it was pretty freaking awesome. But like it fit within her character, so I didn't feel like it was completely out of place or anything. But at the same time, it wasn't like it was completely necessary to validate Molly in any way. I felt like she as a character was completely valid and true and a Gryffindor 100%. So her killing Bellatrix, I didn't feel like it was necessary, but it was a pretty awesome bonus.
Well, it made sense to me because in the heat of the moment, she just lost one of her sons. Her daughter was in danger. So it did make sense to me. Yeah. In that moment that she would do that. But I agree with you.
Yeah. It was definitely, it didn't need to, I don't know. It was one of those things that I read it and I was like, this is awesome. But at the same time, it was sort of like someone else could have killed her, but maybe it wouldn't have been quite so awesome. Sort of it.
Well, okay, I may be totally wrong here, but aren't Sirius Black and Molly Weasley like distantly related, just being purebloods? Because I swear Draco Malfoy and Ron Weasley are like second cousins or something.
Yeah, no, I think that's on the Weasley side, not the Pruitt side. One of Arthur's like uncles or something.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I was just thinking that Molly killing her was kind of like avenging Sirius, which it is, but okay.
Yeah.
In a twisted sort of way.
Didn't really think that highly of Sirius when you think about it. I mean, she was okay with him, but
very, very
she
true.
was mostly fighting with him about how they cared about Harry, and that some of the confrontation between her and Sirius and how they care for Harry. I thought that was an interesting dynamic there, and that she was sort of coming in, you know, as this motherly figure who'd known him longer than Sirius had, and you know, sort of she was looking out for his well-being, and Sirius was sort of he was looking at it from another angle and everything. So I thought that was interesting how they were protective of Harry and difference in their personalities and approach to caring for him and everything. I thought that was an interesting part of the fifth book.
That's cool.
I kind of wish that had been explored a little bit more, but maybe I'll write that.
Oh, Rose says yes on both sides of the family.
Oh, okay.
So apparently they were distantly related. That's so weird to me.
Well, like everybody was.
That's true. It's very true. Okay, well, Rose is out of questions. I think I'm out of questions. Have we checked Twitter?
I haven't checked Twitter. I don't think anybody has it anymore.
I see people asking questions, but I think that's unrelated.
Yeah, I think it's unrelated.
Okay, any last comments, last words, Lizzie?
I'm pretty excited that this was my story. I'm like over the moon. I was so excited when I saw the voting results. I was like, yes! Another happy dance moment. This is sort of like getting nominated for a Dobby. Just as an
cool.
It's pretty cool. I feel very honored. Thank you to everyone who oh, that's not my question. Never mind. Who voted for my story. That was pretty awesome. I just sort of threw it in there just for the heck of it. And so I'm pretty glad that this.
Well, thanks for being here with us.
No problem.
This was fun. I wish you were here.
I know.
Again, that was a lot of fun, but
it was so much fun.
Okay, well, we will wrap up then.
Last call for questions. Nope.
I think we're good. If you have any other further questions, we're going to open the thread on HPFT just like we did with the previous two Fic Nights so that you can continue the discussion. Lizzie will stop by and I'm sure answer questions when she gets a chance. Okay. So if you missed our live airing, you can still participate in the discussion. Just head over to the Fic Night forum on HPFT and we hope to see you there because I'm sure there are other questions that you have for Lizzie.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for reading my story.
Sure.
And
thanks for writing.
I'm glad you're able to do this. All right.
Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Lizzie and everyone else watching.
Bye, guys.
Bye.